Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Armory. Welcome to London is Red. Was there any doubt? But anyway, we're going to talk about last night's London Football Awards at Guildhall. I've got a couple of things that we might throw Gunner King first, but he'll have to bear with me. But welcome, Gunner King. How are you?
Yeah, good man. Really happy with the news. Fully deserved from all the boys. Good to see us finally getting the recognition that we deserve. And I've just been looking through the archives of some of my old content, just from last season and just on my TikTok, YouTube and stuff like this, just kind of reminiscing on the sort of struggles that we've been through over the years. I'm quite emotional at the moment, if I'm being honest, because just seeing all of this come to light. And Saka's a hailing boy. This guy's Mr. Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
In our most difficult time, this guy put the club on his back as a teenager.
Yeah.
And we're coming out the other side now. And there's 11 games left, 11 cup finals. I think, as far as I'm concerned, I know other Arsenal fans are different. If we lost it from here, this, that, and the other, these boys have made me proud. Do you know what I mean? I've not felt this level of pride to be an Arsenal fan since the Wenger days.
Yeah.
And that, for me, I take that with me everywhere I go now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I can finally believe in this club again.
Yeah,
people are still focusing on the end product. Are you actually gonna win the league? Are you actually gonna win the Europa League? But when have we actually ever been able to believe we can do these things? True. When's the last time?
I can't even remember the last time. It's been that long.
And for me, in itself, that deserves gratitude. Do you know what I mean? It really does. And it was a special moment to see the guys get, the awards yesterday, and Fulham the other day. This whole season, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and it's not over yet. There's still a lot to play for. But yeah, I'm going to throw you a few curveballs at the beginning because it's not all Arsenal content. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about that happened last night, which I'm very important about. Love that shirt. Thank you, Carl. Thank you very much. I know you seem to like my choice in work shirts, but I'm currently in the middle of breaks of a meeting, so I've just quickly want to do this. So the first, a very important award was given last night. And it's basically like a community project of the year. So it's what these football clubs are doing. Now, the Brentford Community Trust, they won their award last night. Now, this is so important to me because it does talk about discrimination, and it's through the power of football. I've put the website there for the Community Trust for Brentford, and I've also put it in the actual description. So please go and check it out, because honestly, what these guys have done is incredible. It's something that I have a lot of passion about myself, teaching people through sport or any other kind of hobby as well, that discrimination should never be allowed, no matter what it is. Different colours, and Gunner King would have dealt with it in a different way and had have been receptive of it in a different way, and I was as well, because I'm ginger. I know it's slightly different, but there is no discrimination for me whatsoever. Doesn't matter what you are. We've all got the same heart. We've all got a brain. We can all use it. Just use it in the right way. And these guys deserve their award last night. So, yeah, I just wanted to big them up because I thought they were doing brilliant stuff in Brentford. And also the second one. Now, slightly linked with Arsenal, but I have to talk about the Power of Football Award went to the Lionesses. Now, for people that don't know me, before I joined here, I was covering the Euro 2022 for a different channel. And so I was very proud. And obviously, yes, we've got some Arsenal ladies in there. Beth Media's Kelly Smith was my number one football, but now Beth Mead for me has taken over that role. She's just sublime. I love watching her, and she's the character of the field as well. But anyway, the Lionesses won the Power of Football Award. Very, very well deserved. Right, now we'll actually get into the Arsenal awards that we actually won. Now we're going to start with the Goalkeeper of the Year. Right, Aaron Ramsdale handsomely won it. Now, what made me entertained was I looked at the nominations. Now, here we go. Aaron Ramsdale, David Raya, Bernd Leno, Kepa, don't know how, but also Lawrence Vigouroux. Now, what team is missing from that one?
I can think of a few.
Yeah,
but where's David De Gea?
No, don't forget this is London Football Club. So
it's just London, is it? Okay, yeah.
But what London club might there be that might be missing from this? And Vigouroux from Leyton Orient.
That other relevant football club that wears white. The colour of surrender, that club.
Yeah.
Hugo Lloris.
I found that so funny.
Hugo Lloris. No, come on. Let's not take the mick here, honestly.
But for me, David Raya probably got second, I would have thought, in that vote, and probably Leno got third. Kepa, I don't know how Kepa got in there, to be honest. But Vigouroux from Leyton Orient. To be fair, Leyton Orient have done sublime football at the moment. Yeah. We'll talk about that in the manager awards. So big up to Aaron Ramsdale, well deserved. We will then go into young player of the football. Young player of the football? Player of the year. Geez, you can tell I'm two mindsets here. Right, so the nominations were Saka, Olise from Crystal Palace. Martinelli was in there. Saliba was in there. But also Billy Mitchell, not from the soap. This is Billy Mitchell from Millwall. But again, there's I can think of a certain other team that they still have not got any nominations. They do have some, but they didn't win any awards last night. I did double check just to make myself entertained for a bit. But yeah, I just found that funny. But I want you to comment mainly the fact that Martinelli and Saliba are also nominated, not just Saka wins it. Yeah, Martinelli and yeah.
I mean, look, it's not surprising. These are two of the best performers, not just in the Prem in Europe. 21-year-olds and under. Saka has the most goal involvements, the most dribble take-ons completed. If you look at all the metrics that are relevant, he's got 11 goals and 9. How many assists? 9, I think.
Cool. I'll double check, mate.
This season. He's been on fire this season. That would have already equaled his tally from last season, and he's getting better season on season. I think he has really kind of cemented his status as the talisman of the biggest club in London. And he's part of a young, vibrant team that is at the top of the table, the elephant at the top of the tree. No one expected us to be there. And his performances have been nothing short of exceptional. I watched a Liverpool fan do a comparison between him and Rashford. And look, I'm not here to slate Rashford. He's having a fantastic season.
Yeah.
More power to him. And I think something that he said stood out. If Rashford doesn't score, it's more possible or plausible that he might not impact or have a good game. Whereas like Saka, when you watch him, even if he doesn't get a goal or an assist, he is chomping at the bit to receive the ball, taking on players, creating chances, creating space for other players, spurring the players on. And for me, that just resonates, stands true. Like when I describe Saka, that is him. Mr. Consistent. He's got the record now. I think over 70 appearances consecutively without any injury. That is a record. It's an Arsenal record. He's 21 years old. Last season he got more goal involvements than Cristiano Ronaldo did at the same age. Now I'm not like comparing him to that level of guy, but I'm just saying, he was in a way worse Arsenal team than Ronaldo was United at that time. And you can see what he's doing game on game, the sharpness, the intensity. And as I said, For me, Arsenal have had a long-standing tradition of bringing players in from the academy, which I've always said, and we've spoken about this, like
Yeah.
me and you on shows, that for me should always remain a core part of Arsenal's identity and who we are and who we are known to be,
Yeah.
not just in London, but to the world.
Yeah.
And this is who Saka is.
Yeah.
Mr. Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Well,
next
this is
one
why.
off the conveyor belt.
Yeah, this is why Tony Adams had the famous name, Mr. Arsenal, because he
Yeah.
came for us. And,
the spirit of him lives on through Saka. You can see it.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope that we got Brooke Norton Coffee coming up, Charles Patino, hopefully. Not going to talk about Nwaneri. There's a possibility he might be leaving. But there's a few in the pipeline that I hope. We need to keep our Arsenal DNA, which is always have someone from our youth set up just to go through, because it means more to the fans. I'm not saying that Arsenal fans wouldn't love having 11 players that we buy in and we all fall in love with them, but when they're our own, it means way much more, because we've known them since they were kids, because in the programs we read about it on loads of different outlets and stuff, so we grow to love them way quicker.
It's like Adam said, you play for the badge on the front and they'll remember the name on the back. And coincidentally, he came through our ranks as well. Yeah. And that's the difference. When you have these players that are not just good players, but they resonate with the city they play in. They resonate with the club they play for. His dad, his family, all lifelong Arsenal fans. They bring that extra layer, like to the team setup. I think they become the beacon, for players that come into the club, that quickly bring people up to speed with the identity and the culture of the club, who we are, what the expectations are, what the history and the traditions are. And yeah, I mean, that's Saka in a nutshell, man.
Yeah. Like me and Gumza said on Sunday that we didn't rate him very highly because he's had a couple of okay-ish performances. I'm not going to say poor because it's not poor, but he just hasn't been great. But what we also have to remember, it's okay to go and say that, because they are our own, and we know that they can do better. And Saka's just having a couple of games that's just a little bit not great, but he's been playing, like you've said earlier, he has played non-stop. He kind of needs a bit of a rest sometimes.
He needs a rest.
And I think that's what it is. I think if he had a couple of games rest, he'll come back absolutely full guns blazing as always. But he's just had a couple of games that just have been a bit offish for him. But they're not poor. I've never said he was poor. Me and Gums said on Sunday he wasn't poor. He just didn't have his greatest game.
I think he set himself such an incredible standard, isn't he? Like, you almost expect a goal, an assist or something. But as I said, when you watch these games, he's still receiving the ball. He's still working hard for his teammates. Do you know what I mean? He's still creating chances. He's still, sort of putting pressure on opposition defenders. He's still picking up the ball and putting them to the sword, putting the fear of God in them when he runs at them. And look, he's still young, so he's maturing as a player. Like, he's going to peak, he's going to trough, but we've got an absolute superstar on our hands. Like that. Exactly. That is literally it. Like, he is literally, he is a superstar. Like, this guy is performing, to the level of some of the best players in the world in his position. I'm having Tottenham fans, Chelsea fans, Man United fans, Liverpool fans tell me that they think he's world class, and I'm like, maybe it's a bit early, but they're telling me these things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and for me, he does need a rest. You got the international break coming up as well. I think that'll do him wonders.
But he's likely to be picked though. That's the problem.
Yeah, but there'll be the gap there. I think just coming away from Arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll play all the minutes because it's friendlies.
No, they're not.
They're not friendlies.
No, they're qualifiers. We're playing Ukraine and Italy, and the qualifiers. So the chances are he'll be playing.
He'll play, yeah.
Yeah, that's my fear, unfortunately. I just want to get into some comments because Colm is and Luca are in there. Luca at Arsenal are the best team to beat this season. I don't see many teams beating them. Big up to you for saying that, Colm. I know you're a United fan. Underneath the appearance, we're all just bones, red blood, and organs. We're all the same. Exactly. That's how I've always looked at it. Even Colm found it was funny. No, Hugo Lloris. After his performance, can we call Hugo a goalkeeper? No, I don't think we can. Morning to Luke. Arsenal win again. Exactly. And Saka is the best winger in the Prem this season. Yes, he probably is. As for the stats, I did look it up whilst you were looking. It's 11 goals, 9 assists he's got now this season. So that's not too shabby, is it? Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, as I said, that was the number of goals and assists he had last season for the entirety of it. We've got 11 games left. Likely to assume he's going to add to it. I'd love for him to get to 15 to 20 goals and double digits for assists as well. I think that would be really good for his confidence and to take that into next season. Get a couple of trophies or one trophy hopefully along with that. New contracts about to be tied up.
Yep, just waiting for the announcements now. For pretty much everyone. So it's exciting times at Arsenal at the moment. And like I've said it all along, if we finish second, I'll still be happy because I think I was never expecting this season at all. Not at the end of last season, I wasn't expecting this at all. I've said it categorically. I thought we'll get fifth, maybe fourth if we're lucky.
Yeah, obviously, look, it would be a bit of a disappointment if we didn't win the league from here, considering how we're playing. And, sort of, I think we have been the best team in the league this season. I think there's only been 100 days, less than that, where we've not been top of the table, something ridiculous like that. Like we've been top for the majority of the season. However, considering where we've come from and considering where we're going, considering what, I keep urging this mantra. This is what these players are doing as kids. Yeah. And I just, for me, when they become men, it's game over. It's not just for the Prem, it's the whole of Europe. Everything. Leagues, Champions Leagues, it's everything. We're coming for everything. Like, we'll get everything. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. It's not a case of when, it's if. Last season, people were saying you finished fifth. That was your best opportunity to get top four, apparently. Yeah.
So I was having a moment where I've just realised my laptop wasn't actually plugged in. I'd actually put the charger in, but not plugged. I was like, the battery's about to die.
I did the same with my phone.
Before we get into Martin Odegaard, Colm has just quickly said this. I think what happened to him at the international stage has helped Saka. From then, he was grown from strength to strength, and it speaks about his mentality to come back stronger from that. His mentality, and everyone that I speak to at Arsenal says how grown up he is for a 21-year-old. And to be honest, and I have to be honest about 21-year-olds nowadays, they're not that mature. No. Saka is extremely mature and totally grounded. He is such a nice gentleman.
Yeah,
I think for many, many years, that guy is going to be someone to look up to. I don't think he's ever going to get into trouble. I think he'll be... I don't want to say he's going to take over Rashford's position like what he's done, but people are just going to look up to Saka all the time and just go, yeah, I want to be like you.
Yeah.
And I think he's an absolute top guy. If we can take the title race to the last game of the season, that would be pretty amazing. Yeah, we've got Wolves at home the last game of the season, haven't we? Who have City got?
Brentford away.
Ooh.
Brentford have only lost once at home this season to us.
Yeah, so, true.
A lot of big teams have tried to go there and win.
Let's talk about Premier League Player of the Year. And the reason it's Premier League, they do actually have their own Football League Player of the Year as well. So they split this bit up. So for this one, it was between Martin Odegaard, Saka, once again, Ivan Toney. There's actually a Tottenham player, Harry Kane, and Alexander Mitrovic. I think all well-deserved, to be fair. And I will say that about Kane as well. I think without him, Tottenham would be literally nowhere. And obviously, Martin Odegaard won. I reckon that was probably very close between Saka and Odegaard, to be fair. If I'm
Odegaard.
being perfectly honest.
Probably Kane as well. I mean, look, even all of them. I mean, Ivan Toney's numbers last season and this season again. Probably what he's been up to off the field hasn't helped him. But yeah, they've all been pretty consistent. But yeah, for me, Odegaard, for me, he's our best player. Like in terms of like his ability range, you know, like his stage of development, I think he's our best player. Like I've said that for a long time. And I went to the Wolves game last season, where we clutched the winner, Lacazette scored. And yeah, we obviously got a last minute winner. Everyone was celebrating, doing the customary handshakes. Odegaard fell straight to the floor. He was knackered, and I checked it. I think he covered like 12 kilometers of ground in that game. You know, like off the ball, the work he was doing to press and this, like, and like all of the opposition players came up to him. I actually approached him like as he was like downed, and like were like shaking his hands like as a measure of like respect. They all knew like he had put a proper shift in that game. You know, like, and that always stuck with me, man. And I see that in him every game when he plays. You know, like people talk a lot about what he does with the ball. Could he shoot more? Could he be more clinical? And he's added that to his game this season.
Yeah.
But for me, the base attribute that he brings is even if he's not having his best game, he puts 110% in every single shift. And I think this is how he got the armband, you know, like because that really comes to the fore with Arteta, and I think with the fans as well, you know, that, you know, without the ball, this guy is just, he's just running, you know, like he is just pressing people. He's trying to get the ball back, you know, and he's one of these leaders that kind of leads by that example, really. You know, like I think I've seen more vocal leaders at Arsenal. When I think of Adams, when I think of Vieira, you can see them like marshalling people. You know, I think he's a bit more reserved, but he kind of communicates to the other other teammates, sorry, what's expected from his actions. You know, like from that, you know, like just never quitting. You know, I think the other day when we lost the City, Tomiyasu made the mistake. Head was down. You could see him kind of chastising himself. Odegaard's come up to him and just kind of grabbed him by the chin, pushed it up.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, that like encapsulates the spirit of Arsenal. You know, not giving up. You know, like not quitting, giving everything. You know, like, and yeah, I think his ability, technical ability, like the goals he's added this season, the important goals, the one away at Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, the other day at Fulham, you know, like he's just, yeah, you know, I think he's on like what 10 goals and like 6 assists as well himself.
I'll look at that myself now.
So yeah, he's like slightly older than the Sakas and the Martinellis and that, and he's kind of been through when he went to Real Madrid. He kind of won this competition, like this fair, like this competition where like they just let people kind of trial for Real Madrid, and he won it, and he kind of he was at the top from a very young age, so he kind of knows what that's like the life, the trappings that come with it as a young footballer. And I feel like he has that importance to the dressing room as well, like where he's helping to keep these young players grounded.
Yeah,
because he's been there and he's done it. Do you know what I mean? Real Madrid, biggest club in the world. He was there as a teenager. Been there, done it, worn the t-shirt, played in the Bernabeu in front of hundreds, you know, like thousands of people, you know, like massive games. So yeah, for me, yeah, like he's our best player. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I think of Mesut Ozil, and he's got that quality on the ball, but a lot was said about off the ball, and like, you know, like did he have that sort of that zest, you know, to help his teammates out? And Odegaard marries the two things up. You know, he's exceptional talent, exceptional talent. I think him and Partey and Saka, they're on the cusp of world class now. For me, Like some people might say they're already there. And again, I've had rival fans say it to me that he's already there. But for me, they're not far off. They're not far off. And they will get there as well.
Yeah, because what a lot of people say about world class is they have to do it on the world stage. Well, obviously, he's a bit handicapped. In Norwegian, they've only got 2 really good players at Norwegian level. But I think if he does it at Champions League level consistently, then yes, I think we can start saying that about him, to be honest. Normally it's international level, but we're going to have to be fair to him. He's not going to be able to do it at international level. No offense to Norway.
The toughest league, though. Game in, game out. Like for me, I don't really put stipulations on like the level you're playing at, like necessarily, like per se, like because if you're doing it in the Premier League, you're doing it in the most competitive, toughest league in the world. And like I said, you look at the lack of experience in the squad, and Arteta's not exactly an experienced manager.
Nope.
And the cream is rising to the top. Again, I've got rivals comparing him to KDB, saying he's having a better season than it. And to be honest, I'm not here to argue with him. I think he has. So when you're talking about performing at that level on this stage, I think that says a lot.
Regarding Odegaard's stats, it's 10 goals, 7 assists. So again, not too shabby once again. But that's what's so important is we're getting these goals and assists from all over our front instead of just a couple. It's all over, which is what's so important.
There's only one other team in Europe with 3 players that have got more than 10 goals in league competition, and that's PSG. Messi, Neymar, Mbappe.
Yeah, you kind of expect that though, don't you?
Yeah. So,
but the thing is, they don't play as a team. They play as a lot of individuals, which is why they struggle at a certain level.
And look at like they're all a lot, like Mbappe's been playing for a young age. So even though he's 23, 24, I'd say like him and Odegaard, it's a bit different because he's played consistently, like from 16, 17. Do you know what I mean? Like whereas like Odegaard he was a bit of a journeyman up until he came to Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? He did have some sporadic good seasons, one in Sociedad that stands out to mind.
Yeah.
But like again, Neymar and Messi, they're in the prime of their lives. You know what I mean? Fully fledged adults. So. 1 or 2 years, if they keep pushing those numbers up, which all 3 of them have done, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, they're all going to break what they've done from last season. I'm pretty sure of this. I think the team's got 67 goals. I think in the league, something like that.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah, it's mad.
So, Arteta set a target of 100. 11 games left. I think as they mature and those numbers go up, a lot is said about Haaland, 27 goals in one season. But imagine having 3 guys getting 20 goals or like 20 assists and 10 to 15 goals a season. Then throwing Iniesta, Gabriel Jesus into that mix. Now Trossard.
Yeah.
Scary days.
It is. Colm's saying here that Saka is over Rashford at the moment. Yeah, I think it might have changed a couple of weeks ago. I think if I'm being honest, Rashford was unplayable a few weeks ago, but he has turned a little dip again. But yeah, at the moment, definitely. Luke said here, I said Odegaard should target 10 goals and 10 assists at the start of the season. Apparently, that was unrealistic to some of our fans, i.e. a certain Discord me and you used to be in. Yes, I know exactly who you're on about, Luke. Yes, yes, I totally agree. Right, let's get in to the big one, the manager of the year. Now, I will definitely start with this, and I will still say that I still think he's got a lot of learning to do still, but he has impressed me. He has impressed me a lot with the way that, obviously, I speak to a lot of people at Arsenal, so I hear a little bit more about Mikel Arteta, and he's definitely an interesting character. So what I've heard. And I think he's just learning on the job. And to be honest, learning on the job in the Premier League is not easy to do because the Premier League comes with a lot of pressure. and he's doing it, and he's doing it very, very well. I still think his in-game management needs to improve a little bit, if I'm being like very critical, and I am, because that's just me. I just think sometimes he makes the wrong decisions with substitutions and stuff. But I do believe that we have got the right man, and what I've always known about Arsenal is we always prefer someone that has played at Arsenal. If you look in our history, I think it's probably about 2 or 3 managers in our whole history that have never played for Arsenal who have managed us. It's always been someone that has had something to do with Arsenal. So big up to Mikel Arteta. I'm very proud of you for winning this award. And he was up against some tough people, actually. Richie Wellens has done really well at Leyton Orient. The biggest one for me is Emma Hayes at Chelsea. Yeah. She is phenomenal. Thomas Frank, that is one of the ones that I think is a manager of the season for the Premier League for me. Because
I'm telling you, this guy's got a massive future.
Yes, he has. I love the dude. And Marco Silva as well. Another guy.
There's a guy I met on TikTok called Lias. He's French Algerian, but he lived in the States. He's studying here. I think some kind of sports journalism course. He's jumping the terrace sometimes. I've met him in person as well. And where he's studying, I think he's like somewhere in Brentford, and he's done like interviews with Thomas Frank. And yeah, I mean, Lias himself is really clued up, but he's posted some of like the snippets of the interviews on his TikTok and that. And the mind of this guy is brilliant. Honestly, like you look at where Brentford are at the moment, they got no place being. Do you know what I mean? Above Chelsea, pushing for a European spot.
Yep.
Second season, beat us, very first Premier League game, you know. A lot is said of teams like Norwich that come up, come down, West Broms that come up, come down, and they've never looked. I think there was one part last season where there was a bit of a wobble.
Yeah.
They haven't looked back since. You know, like, so I've got nothing but praise for him and Marco Silva as well. He's doing a fantastic job at Fulham. And I don't look at the result the other day. I don't think that was really a fair reflection of Fulham because they were missing Paulinho.
Yeah.
But you look at what they did to Chelsea. You look at what they've done to a number of the big teams this season. You look at the football they're playing as well. Like aesthetically, they're not sitting back and hitting teams on the counter. Like, even the other day when they lost to us, you know, like they were trying to build up possession very patiently, trying to keep the ball, trying to probe. And yeah, we got some good managers in London at the moment. And I'll even say Potter's a good manager. I think, you know, maybe you could whatever can be said about what's happening at Chelsea is one thing, but look at the state he left Brighton. They were 4th when he left. Brighton and Hove. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of good managers in London at the moment. And you know, look, they might be our rivals, but I'm a proud Londoner. Do you know what I mean? So I like to see it, you know. And they're young, up and coming managers, all of them as well. Arteta, Silva, you know, obviously Frank and Potter. So it's going to be interesting, you know, like to see, you know, how they develop their careers over the years. I mean, Marco Silva's been around a bit longer.
Yeah,
you know, we've seen him before, but Thomas Frank, this guy. But to speak about our manager, man, I think, like you said, it's one thing to be learning on the job. I'm going to add another thing, you know, like what you said about pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure of managing the 3rd biggest club in England, that is at its lowest point. It's on its knees. The environment is toxic. You know, you've come in, everyone is looking at you in bemusement. You've had no experience prior as a manager. And at our worst point, you are being brought in to turn around our fortunes. And obviously it wasn't going to happen straight away. So he's had to fight the tide of his own fan base at times.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, that haven't believed in him. And, you know, when the rivals are sticking the knife in as well, you know, some of the players, you know, we've weaned out as well that went up against him. He's had to fight nail and tooth for his position, you know. And as I said, you know, I think people are starting to realise now that they underestimate us. They whittled it down to 8th and 5th. I always hear this from people, but when he joined, we were 11th, and he joined in December. He got no money in that January window, and then he only got 70 million in the next window. You know, like he had to wait until the summer before last to get significant investment. You know, like, and the narrative last season was that we bottled top four. But since Arteta's taken over, only Man City have taken more points. He didn't do that just this season. Do you know that this is what I'm trying to get people to realize? You know, like that since he's been here, that improvement has been incremental. Sometimes it's stop started, but that improvement has been there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a ridiculous statistic. You know what I mean? To be taking that many points, you know, like, a lot of it's happened this season. This season, Arsenal have taken more points at this stage of a season than Man City have taken in the previous four.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, oh yeah, like, you know, we're only here because the standard of opposition of the big six clubs has been poor. Well, Man City have never had 66, 67 points we've got after 27 games. And they've been the title winners. So, right, this shows the work he's doing. You know, I think the Bournemouth game, we kept 80% possession, which is the highest ever recorded in Premier League history. Do you know what I mean? You look at what these young guns are doing, what I said about Saka, Odegaard, and Martinelli, only team in Europe with 3 players with more than 10 goals. Saliba, this guy, he's taken him. And this guy has won possession in the defensive third more than any other team in the Prem, and he's one of the highest in Europe for it. He's taking young players and he is cultivating them. He's turning them into men. He's not bought a world-class player. I mean, Man United fans turn around and they try and say, oh yeah, well, Ten Hag's done in 6 months what it took Arteta a few years to do. When did Arteta sign anyone of Casemiro's quality? When did he do that? Never. Do you know what I mean? You know, you look at the players that he's brought in, and he's had to develop them. You know, like, his player development and his talent ID is exceptional. You look at the tactical setups as well. You know, bringing in the 2-3-5 in possession. Recently tweaking that, you know, to a box midfield formation and using a line of 6 to break down low blocks. This guy's a bloody genius. He's a genius. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, he's like complete, like, revelation. You know, he's kind of brought back the identity of keeping the ball and passing and playing attacking football, but he's married it up with some steel, some grit, some fight, you know, some strength, you know, some pace, some power, and a bit of organization as well. And honestly, I'm waking up every day with less doubt in my mind that with the next few years at Arsenal are going to be very special. Very, very special. So long as we keep hold of this, man.
Well, what I find very important, and I do know this, and even Edu said this last time, this is not just about Edu and Arteta, it's the team that they've created around them. And they have got a big team. And there's a lot of people that aren't talked about. And it kind of annoys me sometimes. So I get them involved in some stuff that I do, just so their names are out there, because I love them. And they are really good characters. And I know that there's this documentary coming out on Jesus, being powered by Adidas or whatever it is. I honestly would recommend that they do a documentary on Arteta, because people will be surprised what kind of man he actually is. He is very different to what you expect him to be. He's very, very funny. He's got a very strange way of doing things. And I have to say, obviously working with a lot of different teams all over the country, I haven't met anyone quite like Arteta with the way he does stuff. So I hope we keep him. But if we did lose him or Edu, we have a system and a process in place that can then, whoever comes in will take over, because it's looking after the club now, not looking after him, not looking after his job or Edu's. It's looking after the club. And that is the most important thing to me personally. Like, if Arteta does go to Real Madrid, Barcelona, I know that
he goes Real Madrid.
I know that. I'll just.
He's a proud Catalonian, isn't he?
Yeah. But I'll just say, if that ever did happen, I know that Arsenal would be in a very good place. Not like when Wenger left, Arsenal was in that absolute mess.
The only club in the world Arsenal have to worry about with this man going to is Barcelona.
Yeah.
And at the moment, Xavi's doing okay, maybe not so much in Europe, but domestically, he's doing a good job.
Yeah, he is.
And I think he'll do better in Europe as he also matures as well. So I don't see that situation changing. And I think they'll sooner go to Pep than they will come for Arteta. I just don't see it. And I don't know if they go for Pep. Maybe Man City might try and get him, but I don't see him go to City personally.
No, I think the allegiance with Arsenal could be too strong.
I don't see why he'd go City.
Yeah, I can't. It would go against a character that I've known for a while now. That I don't think he'd do that. It would. Yeah, I just don't think he would. But yeah, it's gonna, shouldn't he? Mate, I get confused when all these awards happen, and it's very weird. I'm assuming these awards are for 2002, technically. I'm assuming. I don't know if it goes up to a certain date. I never understand these awards, why they're in the middle of the year. That should be at the end of the season. What Richie Wellens has done at Leyton Orient is actually quite impressive. That's why he was nominated. And it's quite funny that Antonio Conte is not on there, or Graham Potter, or any other.
No mention of Conte again.
Yeah, no Conte at all. Yeah.
This world-class manager.
Arteta undoubtedly an excellent coach, but he's turning into a really good manager. Very, very correct wording there. Like you said, Bobby, his in-game management not always great, but he's definitely getting there. Luke saying here, if Frank, Silva, or Hayes would have been an excellent choice. Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't even complain if Arteta did lose to either of those, to be honest, and I wouldn't be if he lost the Premier League manager of the season to one of those, because honestly, I think this one is going to be the toughest one to decide for many, many years, because there's been so many good ones. Even De Zerbi should be in there as well for me. Big up to Topa for Toba. If Company does well for Burnley, yes, this is what will be happening. Does well for Burnley in the Premier next 2 seasons, City will go for him. Yes, there is a massive link up between Burnley and Man City. That's why they've got a couple of their players as well. So yeah, I'm totally agree with you there. I think Vincent Company will probably end up there. But that is the roundup for the wonderful London Football Awards. Obviously, we are going to be... I'm actually going to be back tomorrow to do the preview for the Sporting game, and then I'll be back on Thursday to the watch-along. Gunner King, I know you've got loads of places where you are, so list all where you are, mate.
Yeah, Gunner King 14 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And obviously on here, I took some bereavement time away, but... I'm probably going to be back now for a bit now. So, yeah, should be featuring more shows here as well. Obviously, that Armory, the foundation of it, always going to be a big part of what I'm doing. But yeah, I also post a lot on Twitter and TikTok. Started a bit more on Instagram, and now I've got a few more things in the pipeline that I'm working on as well.
Cosmic stuff. I think it's Loose Cannon's show tomorrow night as well. I don't actually want to say who's on it because I'm not 100% if they're all confirmed, but I know Loose Cannons is happening tomorrow night and it's about Trossard. So check that out as well. So turn on your notification bells. But there'll be loads of content coming out for the rest of this week because obviously we've still got 2 more games and then we'll have content coming out over the international break because we've got our little stat man, James, working on some stuff. So we will definitely be back with some interesting stuff. And there will be a fantasy transfer window at some point, either in that international break or at the end of the season. So make sure you get your pens and paper ready for that because I will be trying to get involved everybody in that fantasy transfer window. And I can't wait. But big up to everyone. Big up to Gunner King for joining me. I really appreciate it. Big up to everyone in the comments. But as always, before we go, come on, you Gunners.